Hello and welcome to the channel. Now this is another part to the exterior painting of my own house, and there's a playlist in the corner if you want to watch the previous videos. Now this video is another case. I'm just trying some masonry paint out. I've got to give a big shout out to Sally and Gary down at Brewers of Nottingham, because they have supplied me. It's no sponsorship, no endorsement, it's just the sample tins that I do get from time to time. Now Gary knew I was wanting to paint my outside. He knows other suppliers have supplied me with paints to try out. The last one that we tried was round that side of the house and on the front of the house, which was the Andorra. Really impressed with the Andorra, and Gary says if you've tried the Andorra, you've already tried Dulux, which is the other side of the house, which is the original tins of paint. Please watch the playlist because it's all explained. It says give the Albany masonry paint a go, so I will do, because I've already used the Albany paint, which was the master deck on the fascias and undereaves, which you can probably just see up there, and I was impressed with it. And he says if you've liked the master deck, he says you're going to like the actual masonry paint. So on this side of the house, I'm going to do what it says, use the Albany. It's the smooth masonry paint. It's been mixed to the Dulux colour as near as possible, because the colour that I've gone for is County Cream. This originally was County Cream Dulux Weather Shield Trade. Now County Cream is actually a brand colour for Dulux, so I did say whatever you could actually make up in that colour, which is very similar, please just get it as near as you possibly can. Which is what actually Andorra did, and their colour was biscuit, and I quite like the biscuit. It is slightly deeper than the actual County Cream, so it didn't matter because we're doing different sections of the house, different sides. You're not going to notice any difference whether it's one colour or another. But going back to it, right, we're using the Albany. I don't want to make a long video out of this one because you know what I'm like, it's 20 minutes plus. I want to give this a go. I want to see what it's like, and I will come back with a conclusion of what I thought the actual paint was applying like, what its finish is like, all the usual. But just to clarify, this is a water-based paint, so let's just call it a straightforward masonry. It says on the tin, it's excellent weather resistance, it's quick drying with good adhesion. Now, this side of the house, we've got no problems. I've got no cracks. I've got no issues like I did on the other side, hence why I use the Andorra, because there's a flexibility to it that it bridges slight cracks. I've got next to nothing on here that's going to be an issue like that. I've not got to rake any cracks out. I've not got to do any peel stopping. I've not got to do any filling. So it's literally a straightforward paint it top to bottom. And yeah, I'm not saying it's high, but it feels high when you're up there. Now, the only thing that I will mention is, and it's been mentioned in the previous videos, there was slight areas of the house that had got some lichen starting to form. Now, if you've watched the other videos, I did talk about using the Dulux Trade fungicidal wash, which actually was applied the day before. Well, let's say that again. It was applied, you apply it by a brush, put plenty on, leave it to soak overnight, stroke the next day, come back to it and wash it off. And that's what I'd done actually a couple of weeks ago. So the areas that were a problem like that, which were mainly up at the top, have all been treated, and that has now been washed off, and it's virtually all gone. So we've got nothing to worry about there. The other thing I will probably just mention, I've got the sheepskin roller. I find sheepskin rollers probably the best to actually apply your masonry paints. No exception on this. It's a smooth surface. It holds plenty of paint, and it makes the paint go a little bit further. You know what I mean? It's not running out of paint on you. It actually holds a good amount. So that's what I've got. I've got a sheepskin roller. I've got that nice Monarch 3-inch. And come back to you. There's the sheepskin, and there's the nice 3-inch Monarch. It's been a bit of an oval shape that has been very nice for cutting in on the rest of the job, so that's what I'm going to be using on here. Now it is just straightforward. I'm going to say to you, just cut in round your frames, cut in nicely there, cut round anything with your brush, then come back with your roller. Now I've got some roller poles there. I've got a long reach roller, and I've also got the Purdy shorter roller for any areas that don't need such a long roll pole. That's all there is to it. Now I'm going to say, because the British weather is a nightmare, I've lost about 3 to 4 hours today, because I came first thing this morning, I bagged up all the windows. You can hear a window bag just blown about. I'd no sooner got the sheets down and got everything out and got the ladder up that we had a heavy shower of rain for about 45 minutes. It has literally set me back because the wall was soaked. All the gear, i.e. the sheets on the floor, are wet through, and it's only now we're coming up to lunchtime that it's actually dried. We're getting a bit of sun coming through, we've got a bit of warmth, and this wall has dried off. So I'm happy to actually start applying the paint. We've got a forecast that's saying this evening we'll have some rain, but with this being water-based and it's quick drying, I'm not expecting any more showers today, hopefully. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to crack on. I'm not going to show you painting it because I've shown you on the previous videos. I will be getting it brought down from top to bottom, get it coated up as quick as I possibly can. With it being a quick turnaround on drying, I'm going to say probably 2 to 3 hours it will be ready for another coat, and if I can get another coat on in 2 to 3 hours I will do and try and get it done today. So yeah, I'll see you later on and we'll have a bit of a discussion on what we think the paint's like. Right, before we start, I've just got the paint mixed up, i.e. stirred it up in the tin, tipped it out into the paint scuttle stroke bucket, and I've just gone round to see what the actual paint's like. Now, consistency out the tin, straight away with the brush, it feels a little bit thicker than the Andorra. I've just brushed round frames. I can clearly see where I'm going. There's a big difference in colour, and if I can bring you in a bit closer, let's just show you what this is actually like. Now we talk about light fastness and colour fastness, and it's when colours bleach out. Now let's just put this on the wall. Let's bring it in close. Hope you can see where I've been, because there is a big difference on what the original Dulux weather shield has been, and it's obviously been bleached out by the sun, and that's where you get your colour fastness. Yeah, it's not retaining the colour, but they say about a 15-year, up to 15 years with that weather shield, don't they? So I've been 8. I've not done bad. I've been 8, and we do get the sun in the morning. Right, just quick housekeeping. I've got that window now properly bagged up again, and I'm going to say to you, in the last video I mentioned about ladder brackets making marks on the wall, and people had picked up on, oh yeah, whatever. What I normally do, and I didn't say in the last video, is when we do things like this where you've got a ladder or a bracket that's going to be touching work that you've first coated, wrap some tape, wrap some gaffer tape, wrap some masking tape, wrap a bit of cloth around it just to protect the surface as you go back over it. So that's what I've actually done with the ladders up there now. I've got some tape against the rubber and the metal just to protect any of the surface that I might be going over. So all in all, we're all good to go. I'm going to get coated up, and then I'll give you a conclusion of what it's all like at the end. Thank you. Cracking on well, and you know what I'm like. I like to just jump in and interact with these videos as and when I see fit. Now, I said I'd come back at the end, and I will do, but part way down on this wall, I just want to show you what it's like. Can you see the difference in colour between the new that I'm doing now and what was the original, which has been done about, I think it's about 8 years. That's what I've been saying, about 2016. Now, if you've watched the last videos, I was talking about how particularly water-based paints, they'll go on a certain way, i.e. lighter, and as they dry they actually get darker. Now can you see how that's actually showed up now? That's actually dry. That showed up a lot deeper than the original colour, and when I just get a roller that's a bit wet there, you see that, how much lighter that is there, and it dries to that. Now I'm going to mention something, because when I use the Andorra, I spoke about dirt on my hands from the aluminium of the ladder and a dry surface. Rubbing my hands over that, that's a proper flat matte surface, very much like the Andorra, and the aluminium on my hands, I can just see it dirtying up. So as I said on the last video when I was using the Andorra, that is not a fault with the Andorra paint. It would be across the board with all paints that have got a matte finish like that. Some paints have a little bit more sheen level to it that I would expect to be a little bit more resilient to somebody touching it like that. But so far it's going on well. It does feel a little bit thicker than the Andorra. I have noticed, and I don't know whether it's just because the wind's blown a bit more, a few more sprinting spots, you know, just off the roller as I'm going. I'm getting a little bit of splatter, hence why I've got plenty of sheeting up over the bag, windows packed up, and the gate at the side and stuff like that. But yeah, it seems all right. I'm blown away by it. I won't say it's any different than anything else I've tried so far. What I am noticing, I did see a slight crack just near the drain pipe, about there, only a slight fracture. It'd be interesting to see how this paint holds that off. It isn't sold or promoted as a paint that's got elasticity in it to give a little bit of flex between cracks, but we'll just see if it holds off. I'd probably say it wouldn't do, because if there's slight movement anyway, I'd imagine that it would open up and show a crack anyway. So yeah, let's get this bit done, then I'm going to get over to the other side, do that down, and we'll see how we go. Now, I will say, if you're going over a similar colour like I am, you could get away with one coat. If you feel that when it's dried it actually needs another coat, you give it another coat. If you're doing vast changes of colours, you give it 2 anyway. I will give this 2. Fingers crossed, all being well, I can get that done today. We will see. The weather is still brightening up. It is actually still warm in the UK. It's just, yeah, it's fear of showers of rain. But, yeah. Well, we're done, sort of. I've probably been about an hour and a half since that coat went on, which was the first coat. Now, I'm going to say to you, I wasn't particularly blown away by the paint. It's just, to me, it just seemed an ordinary masonry paint. But do you know what? The opacity of that on there, I'm going to let that go for one coat. It's covered beautifully. It's gone on. The application was nice. It did feel a little bit thicker than using the Andorra, but what I was looking for, because I say it's been about an hour and a half since I've done it, I was looking to see whether I could see any, let's call it picture framing, going around with a brush, and where I'd rolled onto the brush cutting in, if it actually showed anything as a highlight, and it's not. It hasn't shown anything like that, hence why I'm going to make the call and actually say that's going for 1. We were going over the same colour, albeit that original counter cream had actually faded off quite to a light version of counter cream, and this has been mixed to as near as possible a counter cream colour. So I'm gonna make the call on this. That does not need an extra coat. It was a sound good base surface. All we're doing is refreshing just to actually get it looking a lot better, and it is. Now, let's just talk about this paint. Brewers, you can only get it at Brewers. I said earlier, good adhesion, quick drying time, which I've noticed it was drying off quite quickly with me. That was good. Excellent weather resistance. Now, reading the back of the can, it's for exterior, don't use this inside. Coverage is 10 square meters per litre. Then we've got water washable, and I'm going to say to you, the brush and the rollers actually washed out really easily. Now, we haven't got it's warm, it's really warm, it's clammy, it's muggy, but we haven't got sunshine on anything that's made the brush dry off and set on the end of the bristles, you know, where it goes towards the stock stroke, the ferrule. It's not all clumped together and made it difficult to wash out. The same with the roller sleeve. That sheepskin roller sleeve's been ideal, and it's washed out lovely. So, washing out with water, no problem. Recoat time, I was saying 2 to 3 hours. It does say on the back of the can, it actually, recoat time is 4 hours. Now, if you were doing a big outside or something like this, you would probably be saying, you'll get a coat on today and you'll come back the next day. But I think I'll be losing the time now, because we're mid-afternoon, to actually get a second coat on. But thankfully, I'm not. I've had enough. I want to go home. Well, I am home. I'm not giving it another. It's actually covered. I'm accepting that as coverage because the opacity is spot on. Just a couple of things I did notice. I did say about sprinting, whether that's because there was a bit of breeze. I have noticed there's a few sprints of spots from the roller sleeve, probably being that little bit longer, it's actually splattered across. Now, There's a few areas just on the downpipes of the gutter, full pipe there, and a little bit on the sill edges where the bagging isn't probably on it. Now, if you want to know how to get that off, you can use methylated spirit. Methylated spirits will soften up water-based paints. Just give it a light rub and it will start eating into it, stroke softening it up, and you'll be able to wipe it away. So anywhere that I am having a few concerns with, I'll just go over the cloth with some meths on it and wipe it off. And meths denatured alcohol to all those that know it in that name as well. But all in all, yeah, I am impressed with that. I've used probably half, so I've got enough. If I do need to give another coat, I will monitor it. If I think it needs another, it won't need another. I've got enough for touching up and things like that. But I have to say, that County Cream colour is quite nice. It's quite popping. Let's call it popping. Yeah, any questions, just ask. All those that are giving me super thanks, thank you very much. All those that are buying me coffee, I'm going to say thank you very much for that. And if you haven't done any of that yet, yeah, just have a look down below. There's links to buy me a coffee and doing super thanks. All that money goes towards keeping this channel running. So I will say those that have supported me that way, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. And don't forget, there is some Amazon links down below for anything you might be looking at buying from Amazon that might be painted and decorating rated. I might have in my store, and I get a small percentage, fraction of a percentage of what you purchase via Amazon. It doesn't cost you any more if you do buy through my link. So please support me that way as well. Thank you.